Hello and welcome to the classes of Mastering Biology. Let's learn biology in an easy way. Now, today we are here to discuss and understand the endocrine glands. These are the endocrine glands which are mentioned in your NCERT textbooks. All right. Now, what does this word means endocrine system? System means it is a group of organs, group of glands that forms the system. But what is the meaning of endocrine? The word endocrine means ductless, those which have no duct, and these release their secretions directly into blood. The secretions are released directly into blood. Secretions are released directly into blood. Clear? Endocrine system is a ductless gland. The secretions are directly released in the blood. That means no glands. These are the glands which do not have any duct. That means there is another set of glands which have duct. Yes. They are called as exocrine glands. Exocrine glands are glands with duct. Example, can you recall some example which have ducts? The glands with ducts are the salivary glands. All right. The sweat glands, these are exocrine glands. So endocrine glands and exocrine glands. Endocrine system comprises of endocrine glands, which are the ductless glands, releasing their secretion directly into blood. And exocrine glands are those glands with ducts having salivary glands. Example, salivary glands. But, one more example that I would put here, which falls in the category of both the endocrine as well as the exocrine gland. Endocrine and exocrine glands. They are both endocrine and exocrine, and such glands are known as mesocrine or heterocrine glands. That means they secrete dual purposes. Dual purposes means what? That means there is some endocrine secretion and there is some exocrine part. When I say the endocrine part, it is release of hormones. The secretions of the endocrine glands is usually hormones, whereas the exocrine gland secretes the juices, the enzymes. One such example is pancreas. Pancreas is a perfect example of the heterocrine or the mesocrine gland. Why? Because you've already studied pancreas in the human digestive system, where it helps in the process of digestion, all right, by secreting pancreatic juice. So pancreatic juice is released as a part of exocrine gland, right? And next one is the hormone. The hormonal secretion in case of Hormonal secretion in case of what? Hormonal secretion in case of the endocrine part is in the form of insulin, where it plays a role to maintain the blood sugar level. Okay, we'll have a look at the functions later. But you have to remember why pancreas are mesocrine in nature, because they have exocrine activity in the human digestive system and they have an endocrine activity in the hormonal secretion part. And that is what is insulin. I hope I'm clear. Now, let us come back and have a look at the names of the glands that we need to study. The first is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is called as the master of master gland. It is called as the master of master gland. I'll just take the same image here and then okay. Now let's move it here in the center. Okay, so this is it. When I say the word hypothalamus, hypothalamus is called as master of master gland. It is called as the master of master gland. Clear? Now this hypothalamus is doing what? It produces releasing factors. It is producing releasing factors for all these other glands for them to function properly. For them to function properly. So the master of master gland releases the releasing factors which causes the activation of all the other glands which are present in our body. Right? The second one is the pituitary gland and this is called as the master gland. The pituitary gland, which is known as the master gland, because it is responsible for functioning of all the other hormones or all the other glands to release their hormones. So why that is master of master gland? Because the releasing factors are going to initiate the master gland to produce the other hormones which stimulate the production of these glands. So these glands are directly under the control of the pituitary gland, which is the master gland. What is the main function of the master gland? The master gland releases growth hormones mainly. There are very many hormones that you will study in your senior classes. But for now, you need to remember the master gland produces the growth hormone and the deficiency or the lack of the hormone results in dwarfism. And the availability, when the amount is present, that leads to, when more is produced, more amount, or in case of, when I say hyper secretion, more secretion, then it results in gigantism. So these are the secretion of the master gland, the pituitary gland, and this is the deficiency disease, and this is the disease which occurs when oversecretion of this growth hormone is done. The second gland which is present, these are all situated in the brain. The second gland which is present in the brain is the pineal gland, and the secretion here is melatonin, a hormone which regulates sleep cycles. A hormone which regulates the sleep cycles. It regulates our biological clock. It maintains our biological clock, the pineal gland. The next, when we move down into the neck part, that is the thyroid gland. So I'll again add a picture here. The same image I'll add up here so that we can, yes. Okay, so here we are. In the neck is present the thyroid gland, and this thyroid gland, it has what? The secretion is known as thyroxine. The secretion of the thyroid gland is known as thyroxine. It is present in front of the larynx. Clear? Now, what is this hormone doing? This hormone is responsible for regulating the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, the metabolism is regulated. I hope I am clear with this. Thyroxine is the secretion of the thyroid gland which regulates the metabolism, that is either the breakdown or the synthesis, fats and proteins. Now, very important point to be noted here is it is synthesized by utilization of iodine. So, iodine is a main dietary component in our diet. And from where do we get this iodine? We get it from fish, we get it from salt we eat. You know, you must have seen in advertisements, iodized salt, iodized salt. Why iodized salt? Because that helps in proper secretion of thyroxine. That is what is forming the base of this hormone. Clear? So, if there is a deficiency in the diet of this hormone, of this salt, which is iodine, thyroxine synthesis will not take place properly, and the effect will directly on the metabolism of these three components of food, which are the major or the macronutrients. Okay. Now, the next one in the throat or the neck is the thymus gland present in the chest cavity here. So, this thymus gland secretes, you know, we have WBCs to fight against infections, to fight against foreign particles. Now, these WBCs are of two types. The word you must have heard of initially as lymphocytes. This you must have heard of. Now, lymphocytes are of two types, T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. T lymphocytes are those which mature here in the thymus gland. They mature in the thymus gland. And when I say the B lymphocyte, it is maturing in the bone marrow. It is maturing in the bone marrow, so B lymphocyte. Now, this thymus gland is present only in the case of children, and the thymus gland is degenerated in the body when the child hits puberty. That means almost after the age of 14, 15 or 16. Right. Now, next we move is to the pancreas, where I have already explained you that it is a myxocrine gland. Pancreas is okay, I'll write it up here. It is a myxocrine gland. Pancreas is a myxocrine gland. Pancreas is a myxocrine gland. Clear? And what is it secreting? It mainly secretes insulin. And what is this insulin doing? It regulates the blood sugar levels. It regulates the blood sugar levels. I hope I'm clear. So it is regulating the blood sugar levels, insulin, right? Now, besides this, it's not in the NCRT, but there is one more hormone which is secreted by the pancreas, and that is glucagon. This functioning I'm going to explain you when I make a video about the feedback mechanism. Clear? The next one is the adrenal gland. What is this adrenal gland doing? Now, adrenal glands are also known as suprarenal glands. We have already discussed the name. The suprarenal glands. You can see its location just above the kidneys. It secretes the hormone adrenaline, which has a counterpart and noradrenaline. So it has two forms, adrenaline and non-adrenaline, right? This is and noradrenaline, right? Now, mainly we write adrenaline. This is said to be a triple F, a 3F hormone. Why? Because it helps to develop fear. It helps to let your brain decide whether you are in a situation of fighting or flight. So fear, fight, or flight. These are the 3F for adrenaline. Now what happens whenever a predator is running after the prey? Clear. Now when the predator is running after a prey, the rate of heartbeat increases. Because there is secretion of adrenaline, the lion wants to fulfill, satisfy its hunger. So this hormone is released and the running starts. The moment the running starts, the heartbeat increases. The rate of heartbeat increases and it causes the other things, that means the flow of blood diverted away from the skin and the digestive system towards the muscle, because right now muscle needs more blood for anaerobic respiration. That you've already studied that during vigorous exercise we or animals perform anaerobic respiration. So during that anaerobic respiration, the supply of blood increases to the skeletal muscles. That is, they move away from the digestive system and the skin because of the contraction in the arteries. This is the exact point which is mentioned in NCERT. So that is what is the adrenal gland doing in our body. It helps us to develop fear. Then we either fight a condition or we either fly from a condition. So fear, fight, or flight hormone, right? This is called as the stress hormone for animal body. This is known as the stress hormone for the animal body. In plants, do you remember which is the stress hormone? Abscisic acid is the stress hormone. All right. Now, let us move to another slide because we are just left with the testes and the ovaries. Now, both of them, these are gonads. What are these? These are gonads, right? The testes is responsible for production of sperm. But along with that, it produces the male sex hormones, which is known as, this is just one hormone, testosterone. And production of testosterone, production of sperm is the contribution of testes. And this regulates the secondary sexual characteristics. The secondary sexual characteristics. All right. Then When I talk about ovaries, ovaries are again paired, but this is in case of females. Testes, you know, is in the case of males. Ovaries are responsible for production of female sex hormone. Now, there are two hormones, progesterone and estrogen, along with the production of egg in the case of females. So, progesterone and estrogen are the female sex hormones. Testosterone is the male sex hormone, and all these hormones regulate the development of the secondary sexual characteristics in case of the males and females respectively. What are secondary sexual characteristics? We will definitely talk about this, but in the next chapter, which is how do organisms reproduce. For now, we are done with the endocrine system. We have discussed all the endocrine glands. We have talked about hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, pancreas, adrenaline, pineal, thymus, ovary in female, and testes in males. Right. Now we are left with just a small topic, that is the feedback mechanism, for which I will make a separate video. Thank you. Keep watching and keep liking my videos. Thank you.